Green Eggs and Ham, the number one sales book on the planet, best sales book ever. He had this product. He knew the prospect was actually going to like it. So you just got to try it. All you got to do is try it. And over again, he heard no, but he kept a great attitude. And once you try it, and what does it say at the end of the book? Thank you, Sam, I am. I do so like green eggs and ham.
Top leaders, meaningful conversation, actionable advice, bulldoze complacency, ignite inspiration, create impact. Produced by Southwestern family of companies. This is the Action Catalyst.
Hello, Action Catalyst listeners. This is your host, Adam Outland, and today we are interviewing Dave Brown. Dave is a speaker, executive coach, founding partner of Southwestern Consulting, and now author. So happy to have you on the podcast. It has been years since you've been here. I think 2017 is when you were last on the Action Catalyst. Life has changed.
It has quite a bit.
I have the pleasure of working with Dave at Southwestern Consulting. We have a wonderful standing relationship. So we're going to have a fun conversation today. But while you've been on this podcast before, and the focus of that episode was really based on your background, life, and how you got to where you are, this episode is going to be a lot more about what you've done since and the publishing of your latest book. And that book is Servant Selling. That might be a good place to start, Dave. Like, why servant selling? Why write a book on it? How long have you been thinking about this?
Yeah, man. First, the term came about, like we started the company a long time ago, this consulting thing. And it was one of our team meetings that we had. We did a team meeting every week on Friday. And I had a killer week. It was awesome. And I just said it in a team meeting. I was like, I was just kind of trying to be like a servant type of salesperson. And it just became so much more. It's like this ideology, kind of methodology, philosophical. That's what I want it to be. I want it to be a different way of selling, to sell with your prospects' needs and their wants and desires first. And I think it captures just the servant selling idea. Just even those two words captures how Southwestern's been doing it for 160 whatever years it is now.
You've been with the family of companies practically your whole working business life since 18 years old. Is that right?
19. I was 19 whenever I started. I did work with, Chili's before that. I was the guy with 48 pieces of flair. Just to be clear.
That explains so much. That's great. So servant leadership, how did you evolve that principle?
I start the book with this, right? It's a story about a family that I met in 2003, and I didn't feel the best after that interaction. I remember leaving some things out, not being as forthright as I would have liked to be in the selling scenario. And I remember it leaving me a little empty. I actually, and nobody would know. Nobody would know. I didn't straight up lie to anybody but I just felt it. I felt that I should have just been a little more real about the product or about whatever. And I remember after that, I couldn't stop thinking about it, Adam. And I just made a decision. I remember very clearly like going, I'm going to do it the right way. I'm going to sell the right way, not leaving anything out, not ever wanting to have this feeling again, right? This ickiness that I had just picked up. And I remember going, well, is that going to compromise me being really good at sales? Because it's been said that I don't like it at all, but out there, this connotation of salespeople is not the best. And they're trying to look after themselves and what they want versus what their prospects and the people they talk to want. And I'm not going to do it that way. And then I was scared I was going to not be a top producer. And it was kind of cool because it's like this feeling that, no, do both. Mm-hmm. That's it.
And the model inside of the consulting company of presenting one-on-one coaching to offices, going on and bringing that concept of sales development on a one-on-one basis. I learned a lot of that from you.
Tell the world.
Yeah, I've learned everything I know from you, Dave. There it is. It's now recorded history. But what I remember is people have a negative connotation of sales. And when you go in to provide the idea of coaching on sales, one of the things that we often have to overcome in people's own mind is this preconceived notion, even that salespeople themselves have about themselves. Like they try to avoid being a salesperson.
I love picking up on some of those undercurrents, right? With people like speaking all over the place and talking about it and writing about it. And just like you said, working with the people that I get to work with, leaders and all the coaches that we have, you can feel whenever people feel that way. And man, I think sales is the most prestigious, honorable profession on the planet. I mean, there's only two ways to make money in this world. You either sell something you own or you sell something. That's it. You sell part of what you own or you actually are the one doing the selling. I think it's awesome. I mean, every image, man, woman, any organization through history that's done anything that matters at all was a massive sales pitch. And if you don't believe it, just start looking around, like start reading about it and how they had to convince and move people to action and cover doubts, right? Like work through with dealing with doubts and fears and all this stuff that comes up in just normal, natural life. Like think about where you naturally do this in your life with your family. Where are you selling with your daughter? You know, what conversations are you having with your friends where you're making them come to life or you're actually having to work them through something they're struggling in their life? That is a sale right there. Like, why do we complicate this thing and think we got to, have so much to learn? You do this naturally. Sales is a natural thing. Stop fighting your beliefs on it because of what somebody said about it or like, oh, it's a negative deal. It's not. It's a beautiful thing and embrace it. Yeah, man. It's just, we all do it. You just got to love on yourself for doing it and be excited that you are doing it because that's the only thing that's going to help anybody change, including yourself.
I think, you can learn all of these strategies and techniques to how to sell more effectively. But if your mind is focused on what's in the transaction for me, the strategies end up falling short and you end up turning into the stereotype of what you have in your mind, right? Like that's the blockage. But if your mind is focused on what's in service to the client, then you bring to life the strategies, become a useful tool to help people get out of their own way. Selling gets its bad reputation because of the people who take the approach of what's in it for me.
Absolutely, man. You got it. And you want to see where people really come alive. Just ask them what they're passionate about. Ask them where they made a stand for something that they believed was right in this world, and then ask them to talk about it. And then you have them relate it. I go, okay, well, that look what you just did right there. How you spoke about it. But that is the true sale. Like that's when you're doing it the right way, and you're trying to pick up these one-liners or this closing technique that's gonna. Come on, none of that crap. Can people do that? And yeah, people done it for a long dang time. And that's not what I want to be the disciple of.
Yeah. And the one thing that I also wanted to talk about, like we zoom out from the book for a second, from the content of the book. I also just wanted to ask you about writing it. We had an author on, Dean Koontz, who's totally different field of writing, right? He publishes
way better than I am, like way better.
So I love asking this question, which is the process of actually putting this together for you. It's been in your mind. Obviously, you gave an example of how long you've been thinking about this principle. What's been some of the challenges of getting this consolidated on paper? Like, what's been the process that you've had to go through?
I mean, a lot of, am I worthy? Am I the person? Am I the person to tell the story? So a lot of that up front. And then just the team, man. I mean, it takes a village, right? We hear that with kids. And when you start having kids, you really realize how true that is. And same thing with a book. I mean, it's like a kid. I needed the people to help get this stuff out of me. And I remember going to one of my content editors and I was like, dude, I put my heart into these stories. And I'm like, dude, this and that is stuff I've told from the stage for years. And then, like a quick email back, that's not good enough. You need to do better. That's like my signature story, brah. Like that what are you talking? Like I'm down. Like I don't even know where to go. I got nothing else. Just them pulling out the best that's in you. One of my favorite quotes is exploiting your uniqueness in service to others. And like, what is your uniqueness, Dave? Like, what is it? Put your stuff on this. And then, so yeah, just a team making you better and putting it on paper. And then it was a lot, man, but I really enjoyed it.
I mean, all of these things are things you're good at, but
you can say that again
I'll repeat that. You're good at that. Chapter 3, the power of persistence. For listeners, I mean, if you just pull a little bit of some of the anecdotes from the book on persistence, like what are a couple of things that you would share with people that are in the sales game right now about the mindset around persistence and how to deal with no?
Yeah, persistence is a unique character trait in humans because you don't get a chance to truly work on it unless you're being rejected. So you need to, there's no way you can just go, I'm going to go get better persistence today. It's like, no, go fail. That's whenever you're getting better at it. So it's not like you can go get a workout in on persistence. It was an understanding that if I got more no's than anybody else, I was going to win. And I didn't have the best numbers at them. I mean, I wasn't this closer that had this, I closed 80% of the people I talked to. And there's people that are out there that are way better than I am with that kind of stuff. I didn't. I had about the same ratios as any average person in any one of our business, like anything I've ever participated in. I just knew that I could go see more people. And I just knew that I could make this principle of you see more, you sell more a reality and prove it. I mean, come on, you can't go work on the skill set right overnight, but overnight you can go see 2 times the people that you saw yesterday. We all can do that. I love that we all have access to this. And there's a book back there. Can you see it? It's the number 1 sales book on the planet. It's something that anytime anybody asks for a book recommendation, I say, this is the best sales book ever.
For audio listeners only, what's the title of that book?
Right. Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss.
Why is the best sales book in the planet?
Man, he had this product that he was telling his prospect about, and he knew the prospect was actually going to like it. Like, it was serving, he was helping him. So you just got to try it. All you got to do is try it. And over and over again, he heard no, but he kept a great attitude. Now, my favorite part about this book about green eggs and ham, if you look at the pages, and I dissected this because this is a book my mom probably read to me 1,000 times. But when you look through it, even when he's getting told no, there's like this shouting, like the lines, of Dr. Seuss writing, like shouting. And he's got this little smile on his face. He's just like, yeah, you can tell me no all day long. It doesn't matter, right? I'm going to stick with you because I think this will be best. And once you try it, and what does it say at the end of the book? Thank you. Sam, I am, right? I do so like green eggs and ham.
I love it. There's a couple of people I know you share a little bit of a behavior quality with. That behavior quality of a little bit of like fearlessness on doing new things, because from a lot of experience that any new thing can be learned through enough failure, and failure doesn't mean bad. And, in college, one of your claims to fame was not playing 1, not 2, but 12 sports. Now, how many did you actually play?
4 sports.
Yeah, 4 sports. It's abnormal on a lot of levels to do that. One, from a time commitment level in school, but another because generally people don't transition their ability from one sport to another. What gave you the ability?
It's just not quitting. Like, never quitting on a play, never quitting on your teammates, right? Not quitting whenever times get tough, because they do, and never stopping believing. Volleyball was one of the sports that I played in college. And I know you like to bring it up in is it a real sport kind of way? I'm going to do
it's a real sport. It's a real sport.
I know it is. But my senior year, right, of high school, that was just volleyball just broke out. It was something that I was probably the best suited for, just athletically and everything else, as I was figuring that out. And my freshman year of college, we were not where we needed to be, even 60% through the season. Like, we had a massive losing record, and it was just something coach just poured into us about just not quitting, not giving up. And we're national champions. We kept saying that stuff to each other. And it was kind of cool that we ended up winning. We went on a ridiculous winning streak. We couldn't stop winning, and we just came together and peaked at the right time. And we've all seen that in sports. And that's something that I love. I love the underdog. I used to, in order for me to get better, like whenever there's a pickup basketball game or like just a little 3-on-3 soccer thing or whatever, when I was growing up, I used to want to take the players that were smaller than everyone else and that nobody thought that could win, because that was, 1, you're helping them get a taste of winning, and 2, makes you better. Like, you have to stretch yourself. So, man, it shows up right there too. Like, just don't quit and believe. Just don't stop believing, right? Sing this song. It's a true statement, and sports gives you a chance to practice it. I mean, how many times, what are the stories we're talking about? We're not talking about the team that was ahead by 20 that won by 10. We're talking about the team that was down by 20 that ended up winning by 2. That's the stuff people are circulating all the dang time. And I love that. Sales is just that. Just don't give up on it. Don't stop going to the next dang door. Don't pick up the second you don't pick up the phone, that's when you've lost.
There's just such a correlation, in sports and sales, because there is the perception of winning and losing things, right? There's a competition. There's having to learn how to deal with failure and what it means about you, and being about something other than just you when you're part of a team. And so that all kind of comes back to the servant principle, which I really love. And one last principle that reminded me of is an acronym that you've become famous for, which is WYDFLI.
WYDFLI.
How do you spell it, and what does it stand for?
WYDFLI. WYDFLI is, it's simply put, when you don't feel like it. When you don't feel like it. None of us feel like working out. I don't feel like, making things right that I wronged. I don't feel like knocking on the next door. I don't feel like doing the stuff that I need to do in my marriage. So it's just this WYDFLI. It rolls off the tongue so perfectly. WYDFLI. Great reminder. It's about doing the things you don't want to do when you don't feel like it. And so that's something that, yeah, man, I want it to be all around me. Every time I see it, it's like, remember, that's what life is about doing things you don't want to do. WYDFLI. Say it again. Say it again. It's so good.
The other question that I wanted to ask you is about the transformation that took place when you had your first kiddo. How has being a dad transformed your perspective on being a servant?
Gosh, man. That first transformation happens when you get married, right? I mean, you know that. It's now it's somebody truly. You get to actually practice this stuff, Dave, when it really matters, right? Like when you get married, and then when you have a kid, it's giving up all your dignity sometimes and all the selfishness that you have. And it's especially with the first one, I don't know if you noticed this, but you want to hold on to your routines and hold on to the way that you do things and your selfishness, and you set up life so that you can. And then whenever you do it, trying to live the way that you were before it, it's not as good. It's not as good. We have 3 kids now. God, 3 kids. And that's whenever I'm most fulfilled, whenever I'm actually thinking of their needs in acting out, doing something about what I think they want. Whenever I don't, there's this same incongruency that we were talking about earlier, right? In the episode, it's like you are fulfilled, you are wanting more for them, and it gets addictive. Same thing about doing sales the right way. Whenever you're truly thinking about that other person, and that's where you're targeting your questions and wanting to, unlock this and figure this out so that you can solve this problem for them. It's a great place to practice is right at home. And the best place to practice it is when your kids get home from school, is whenever you want to just play on your phone. You do, right? It's so much easier. But then no, let me put this away. Let me focus on them. And they know, man, just like I think your prospect knows when you're truly servant selling, they know when you're focused on them and they know when you're not. Yeah. If you're saying yes to one thing, you're saying no to the other. If you're saying no to something, you're saying yes to another. And it's if you're saying yes to that stuff, you're saying no to your kids. And it's such a good practice for being a servant salesperson is what you do inside your own house with your kiddos. I mean, Dawson, he was having a tough morning on Monday, and my wife says this a lot to me: connection over efficiency, Dave. Mm-hmm. Connection first, then efficiency, not the other way around. I'm trying to get him out of the house to get to school, right? Efficiency. Put your clothes on, brush your teeth, drink this, take your vitamins. Where he just needed somebody to sit in how he was feeling with him. Mm-hmm. And I completely missed it. Mm-hmm. I didn't get a chance to connect with my son. That's what he needed. And it sucked. And then I apologized to him the night after. And Emmie's it's the same thing I tell you, Dave, connection over efficiency, which I am an insanely efficient human being. And that's probably my biggest motivation. And it's interrupting that pattern and putting connection first.
That's great. A lot of people can relate to that. One of the other things is leadership, but I was curious if you could share what servant selling has to do with servant leadership and how the two might be connected.
Whenever you're putting the needs of your prospects first, as a servant salesperson, leadership, you're putting their goals, your people's dreams ahead of your own. And not that to say you can't achieve your dreams. It's the fun Zig Ziglar quote of helping enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want kind of a thing. But with leadership, I think it's getting to know them, what they really want. I love that. I had a leader a long time ago that drove me by my elementary school. He was trying to recruit me, and he flew to my hometown and drove me by my elementary school and said, what are the 3 things that come to your mind whenever you are here sitting in this parking lot, like my elementary school? And I thought that was amazing. I thought it was brilliant, and wasn't about him getting me to work for him or getting me to perform for him. It was about really wanting to know what made me tick, and these anchors, these relationship anchors. And that's what I think servant leaders are so good at is they have foundational stories and foundational experiences with every one of their people. I love it. Yeah, servant leadership is having those relationship anchors and then trying to find more, like creating more experiences, because you always have to call your people out on certain things. And you always have to, you're not, most of the conversations, if they are conversations that are going to transform people, they aren't the funnest. They're not the things that you want to be talking about, right? It's like wood fly. God, I don't want to talk about this one. I'd much rather just hang out. But sometimes you need to do that. You got to have these, I call them credibility deposits, especially in leadership with every one of your people.
So one thing I've noticed that you do very well with credibility deposits, even with people who are not actually on your team. And to me, this is almost a really great example of this, where you spend time with intention with a lot of people that you don't work with yet, where you schedule a routine, and it's to develop that relationship without thinking of necessarily a return. It's a way to educate people about what we're about. And the byproduct may or may not be them coming to partner and work with you, right?
Yes, but I'm never going to quit on them, even if it's 20 years down the road. So eventually they will come home. And if I got to talk to them for 50 years, I will. And the key to all those conversations is just keep being valuable, just being valuable. And I'm not saying I'm sticking with them for 50 years or 20 years because I want to work with them one day. Do I? Absolutely. I absolutely want to work with them one day. But the other part of that is it's a great place to create relationships. I think so many adults, they don't know how to create relationships. They don't know how to, they're hanging out with their best friend from third grade because their names were both B's in alphabetical order. So they end up sitting next to each other. And because of this random they're best friends. Like you get to choose the people you want to do life with. And whenever you have a true relationship with them, however long it takes, 3 months, 3 years, 30 years, now we're building something beautiful, and you have true friends later on in life that you look forward to doing life with. So yeah, man, I mean, all the time. I love that. And I won't quit on anybody until they tell me blatantly. I've had some people say, Dave, I don't want to talk to you again. And I just want to keep showing up and being valuable. And if they say that, it's like, sweet. All right, this was fun. And that's it.
Well, while we've spent a lot of time here talking about mindset and perspective and persistence, the book is actually quite technical as well, where you give a lot of context to what does servant selling look like in different parts of the sales cycle? How do you actually apply this in the field? So, in summary, is there one thing that you feel if someone were to be relatively maybe new to sales, or not necessarily new to sales, but not performing exactly where they want to perform, what would be one technical thing that you might share as a good starting point?
Yeah. I mean, again, there's, 50, 60 techniques and ideas in the book to help you break out and be great, whether you're great right now and you want to be greater, or just figuring this thing out and want to, be a top producer. But it's the one that I figured out whenever I was going door to door, that is, you have to ask for the business. Even if you are so far off in your presentation from them becoming a client. And you've heard me talk about it. And I talk about it's striking out. It's the strikeout principle, right? I didn't play baseball. It was one of the few sports I didn't play, but I get it. And whenever you swing at the ball, whenever somebody pitches it to you, and those even that don't play sports, you hopefully have enough knowledge of baseball. When you swing at it and you get a third strike, you're out, right? You don't get to bat anymore. That's fine. You at least tried. You swung the bat. You gave yourself a chance to hit the ball. But whenever you strike out looking and the ball flies past and the umpire goes, you're out, and you got to walk back. That is what so many sales look like. So many sales presentations never have a close. They never have, well, do you want to get together? Do you want to do you want to do this? Even if even as horrible of a close as sounds like this, do you want to buy it? Still doing that and swinging the bat is 10 times better than walking away from that conversation going, man, yeah, she wasn't into it, or he wasn't into it, or that family this or that, or, I couldn't sign up that group, or just ask. I mean, I've had some of the worst presentations ever in my life going down and not working. And I was like, well, so when do you want me to come out and work with your team? You want to do it this week or next week? And it's just blown away. Most of the time it's like, no, you idiot, we're not doing this. But there have been times where it's like, yeah, can you just teach my team just to do what you just did? Whenever I was not interested, you just still close. Just sure, come out and do that. I learned that whenever I was knocking on doors. I'd run into people who didn't have kids. We sold kids products, right? Books and study guides and software and all this stuff. But everybody knows a kid. Everybody's got some kind of kids, nieces, nephews, somebody at the church they know, whatever. And I'd be like, well, who do you want to buy them for? You want to get them for this group or that group? I mean, everybody's getting something to help some of the kids out in their life. Like, so would you want to do this? You want to do that? And most of the time they'd say no. But sometimes, and I actually got to be pretty good at it selling this product to families without kids, got to be really, really good at it by just asking every time.
That positive expectation that you go into it with, and also realizing it's not your job to say no for them. It's your job to give them the opportunity. Yeah. And to do that from a place of service and saying, hey, I believe in what I'm doing and what we have, and someone needs this.
It's congruent with why you called them. It's congruent with the conversation that you're having. If you don't, then what the heck are you doing there? Just blows me away. You walk away from that psychologically confirmed in what you're doing when you ask, and your prospect, it tells you no, which confirms them. It's honoring the person on the other side of the interaction by asking.
Awesome. Lightning round.
Love lightning round.
What are some of the tools that you would share with the audience that you are using right now?
One of my biggest tools is self-talk. The phrase, I have all the time in the world, is one of the best time management strategies on the planet. I really do have all the time in the world. Every human does. And by saying that over and over again, people, one, their guard goes down. And two, you feel better about your life. You actually feel like you can get to everything and you have all the time in the world. So that's one of them, big time, is just the self-talk around that. I think it is truly a tool that is underutilized in this real world. People will talk about how busy they are and how much time they don't have and what they need to get to. It's like, it's cute.
Personal health. Like what are just like one thing that you do, like personal health that's somewhat unique to you that you use to stay on top of your game?
I drink apple cider vinegar every day. It sucks. Who likes drinking vinegar? I hate it, but I do it because it's really freaking hard. And it has been so good for my body over time. Like, it's crazy, even just the checkups and things that I've learned and more I learn about it. So that, and then I do something physical every day, even if it's 10 push-ups during a commercial, whenever when watching a game or something. So it's doing something every day. It's usually stretching, or just got a Peloton recently. And that really helps because it's something to do, but doing something physical every single day.
Got it. What about the not eating?
Oh, the fasting. 10 years, starting January 2020, I committed to do a fast for 100 hours every first week of every quarter for 10 years. One of my biggest life statements is to do what's hard. First week of every quarter, you go from, Saturday night to Thursday morning and you don't eat anything. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah. I'm going to take one step in that direction by just not eating pasta every day of the week.
Good. Yeah. Or avoiding Brussels sprouts for 40 days. Yeah, that's cute.
Most embarrassing moment in the last year or in the last month?
Embarrassing moment.
We're calling your wife right now.
I mean, just recently, you know how I send those recap emails to leaders, Adam? Yeah, I sent the recap email to the person. And so I put their leaders on it, and I put person who I was writing about, and I was like, you freaking idiot. Yeah.
Transparency. Why should everybody get a coach?
You can't become the best version of yourself by yourself. Actually want to grow and be better. Doing it on your own never will. It's everything. You do it subconsciously. You ask for it with your friends, with your family. Everybody does it. Everybody searches for accountability because they know it works every dang time. So just pay attention to yourself and what your body actually needs so that you can be good and great and peaceful and fulfilled and less stressed, and fill in the blank with whatever, solution you want.
Servant selling. Thank you so much, Dave, for sharing a little bit about your book. If someone wants to find your book, they can just type in Dave Brown Servant Selling and purchase 500 copies that way for both themselves and their friends, right?
You pay 5,000?
5,000. There you go.
Very well said.
Thanks again for being on here, Dave.
Absolutely, Adam. Thanks for having me. And you can tell everybody those glasses actually aren't real, that you just have them to look smart. You can tell everybody.
Yeah. Well, we all have to improve our confidence somehow.
Amen. Love you, Adam.
Yeah, me too. See you, buddy.
If you enjoy this podcast, please make sure to subscribe. And to stay updated on everything that the Action Catalyst is up to, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Action Catalyst Podcast, and on Twitter at Catalyst_Action. And thanks for listening.